The yield of trust. At the heart of the Pragati chemical plant, the air hummed with the rhythmic pulse of progress. Arvind, the head of department, stood on the elevated gantry, watching the intricate dance of steel pipes and glowing monitors. To him, the plant was a living organism, and its health depended entirely on the clarity of the signals flowing through its veins. He took pride in the precision of his team, believing that excellence was a product of unwavering focus. In the bustling canteen, the atmosphere was different. Samir, the shift supervisor, sat at a corner table, leaning in close to a group of colleagues. Instead of discussing the afternoon's throughput targets, the air was thick with whispers. A rumor had taken root, tales of restructuring and secret meetings. Samir, usually a bridge between management and the floor, found himself caught in the tide of he said, she said, his ears more tuned to speculation than the machinery outside. When the lunch break ended, the fog of gossip followed Samir back to the control room. His mind was miles away, dissecting the rumors he had just heard. As he went through the shift handover, his entries in the logbook were brief and distracted. He failed to note a minor but persistent variance in the temperature of Reactor 4, his focus fractured by the phantom fears of the canteen talk. On the production floor, Tejas, the lead operator, took his station. Tejas was known for his technical brilliance and his ability to read the machines. However, without the critical context from the supervisor's log, he assumed the rising pressure in the system was a standard fluctuation. He adjusted the valves as he always did, but the underlying issue Samir had missed began to simmer beneath the surface. Suddenly, an alarm pierced the steady hum of the plant. The pressure in Reactor 4 had spiked beyond the safety margin. Arvind, who had been nearby, reached the station just as Tejas was scrambling to stabilize the flow. Together, they worked the manual bypass, their movements synchronized by necessity. Arvind watched Tejas's hands, steady but working against a lack of information. Once the system was stabilized, and the all-clear sounded, a heavy silence fell over the floor. Samir arrived at the scene, breathless and pale, realizing the gravity of the near miss. Arvind didn't shout. Instead, he picked up the shift logbook from the nearby podium and held it open. He pointed to the blank spaces where the temperature warnings should have been recorded. Later that evening, Arvind called Samir into his glass-walled office. The sun was setting over the industrial skyline, casting long shadows across the desk. Arvind gestured for Samir to sit. "A chemical plant runs on two things, Samir," Arvind said quietly. "The purity of the chemicals and the purity of our communication. When gossip enters the mix, it acts like an impurity. It creates noise where there should be data." Arvind stood up and walked to a whiteboard. He drew a simple graph showing a declining line. "This is our yield of trust," he explained. "Every rumor shared is a drop in performance. Every moment spent wondering what might happen is a moment lost to ensuring what is happening. Leaders don't just manage machines, they manage the atmosphere. If the atmosphere is toxic, the output will eventually fail." The following week, the atmosphere at Pragati Chemicals began to shift. Samir was back on the floor, but his focus was renewed. During the shift handover, he didn't just write in the log. He stood with Tejas, walking him through every digital reading and physical check. They spoke of pressures, flows, and safety margins. The whispers of the canteen had been replaced by the clear, professional dialogue of a high-performance team. From his gantry, Arvind looked down once more. The plant was humming, but the sound was different now. It was the sound of a team in sync. The yield was up, not just in liters and tons, but in the clarity of purpose. He knew that trust wasn't something you built once. It was the daily harvest of professional conduct and honest communication. The plant was healthy, and the signals were clear.